good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and you check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on this kid, Darryn Peterson, that has been in the news lately. And, well, he's the topic of discussion lately on a lot of different podcasts, right? And so apparently this kid, Darryn Peterson, people getting on him because he took himself out of a game after he hit a three-pointer. And, they're saying that this kid is load managing in college, right? And to me, that's it's a red flag, but it's not this not the first time somebody like a kid made a mistake. And young people will do this kind of things if they have been enabled, or if they feel like they are entitled, then they'll make these kind of mistakes. Sometimes you see kids make it at the high school level. I remember the kid that was in high school, what was his name? Lenny Cook, was coming through the high school circuit the same time LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony came through, right? And there was some mistakes that Lenny Cook made that derailed his career, right? And the only difference between this kid and Lenny Cook is, number one, he made it. This kid actually made it to college. He's in college right now, but he still can derail his career whether he realizes it or not, right? Because he haven't made it. He might be making that NIL money and stuff like, excuse me, and stuff like that, but he hasn't made it. So, and from what I hear, everybody say that this kid is qualified. He's really good enough to go number one in the draft. But you can still go number one in the draft and really mess your NBA career up or not really have a good NBA career. Making it to the NBA is just like, that's just the start of it. Now you have to learn how to be a professional, and you have to learn how to score and play and be effective at that level. So, and you see that with a lot of basketball players, like they'll get to the NBA and they feel like they have made it, they've arrived, and they don't have to really get better and learn the game like from a mental standpoint. And their talent will keep them around, like their physical talent will keep them around for a few years. But after that, they'll be just like somebody like Ja Morant, like the team will want to move on from you, because if you're like by year 6 and year 7, your game should show some maturity. Or like, what's the other guy? Trae Young. Trae Young right now is he's with the Washington Wizards, right? Because like he wore out he didn't make the most of his opportunity in Atlanta. Then you have the other kid who is in let me see, the kid LaMelo Ball, he's in Charlotte. They put him on the bench, right? Because they want him to learn how to play basketball the NBA way, like be a professional basketball player, the hero basketball and all that showboating and not protected. That's not NBA basketball. And so, hopefully this kid won't sabotage his career. And so with that being said, though, I want to play with Jason Whitlock and his panel. These two guys on his side have to say about this situation with Darryn Peterson.
Darryn Peterson has brought load management to college basketball and college sports. Last night, 23 points in 18 minutes, I believe. Yeah, 23 points in 18 minutes. I think we got the video of it. Yeah, he nails this three-pointer, 3 minutes into the second, 2.5 minutes into the second half. Am I right? I think there's 17-4 to it. And he tells Bill, hey, get me out of here. I mean, holy cow. This guy is a tremendous player. People are comparing him to Kobe Bryant, and which means the next stop is comparing him to Michael Jordan. He's playing at a historic program. I don't know if they were at that game last night. I don't think was at Allen Fieldhouse. But this guy is supposed to be the next big thing, and he's load managing in college basketball which also makes me like sympathetic towards Mick Cronin. Mick Cronin is being eviscerated all over social media. He's bullying. What do you mean he booted his own player out? He's a bully. He's this, he's that.
Now, the situation, I'm glad he brought this. The situation with Nick Cronin, the coach of UCLA, in my opinion, like, you can discipline your basketball player and your kids on your team, but you don't show them up in front of 15,000 people in the stands and then nationally on, you don't have to show them up like that, because that is going to have a negative effect. Even if what he was saying to the kid was right, there's a way to go about correcting somebody, especially somebody who you say you're on their side and you're working in their best interest. You gotta watch how you do that. And so I disagree with Jason Whitlock. Nick Cronin made a big mistake. I don't think that you definitely don't want your kids out there trying to hurt other kids. And I looked at the play, the foul that kid had. It wasn't really all that bad. And I think, in my opinion, Nick overreacted. Or let's just say he didn't overreact, as far as he thought it was a dangerous play. You talk to him in the locker room after the game, even if you sit him down, you don't, that I think in itself is embarrassing, but you don't yell at him like he just tried to, decapitate the kid or something like that. So, and what the proof is, and what's going to happen is that's going to have a negative a reflection of other kids on that team, but then they're going to be looking at the coach a certain kind of way. You can't say it's us against the world when you put somebody, when you do one of your own like that. And it might hurt them in recruiting for a little while if they don't, you never know. Somebody might say, well, I don't want to go there, man. This guy, you can't, to do a player like that has never been a wise move.
The UCLA head coach, and I look at Mick Cronin and I go, are you not looking at Darryn Peterson? Are you not looking at what these coaches are dealing with? Of course they're melting down. Load management has hit college basketball. It's another indictment of the de-emphasis of competition in sports. Steve, your reaction to what Darryn Peterson is bringing to college basketball?
Like I said, before this guy Steve go on and talk about Darryn Peterson or Darrell Peterson, I think it's Darrell Peterson. I think these kids cheat. They're going to cheat themselves. The NBA is getting back to where it used to be a few years ago, man. More competitive and playing defense. You got to play at both ends. So, it's not going to be as soft. I think this kid is going to have to. I think he'll be all right. He's going to step it up.
Well, I think that's a real negative way you shaded that. Maybe he's just preparing for the NBA, Whitlock. You ever think of that? But where have you gone, Danny Manning? Where have you gone, Paul Pierce? This is, again, I'm scrolling through Twitter, and all these people now that voted for Mamandi are suddenly really complaining about his policies that they voted for.
Oh, Mondani. Mondani. You're talking about the New York mayor.
Mondani, yeah, whatever. Yeah. I'm lucky. I thought LA had a bad mayor. Sorry about New York.
You do.
But everyone knew the philosophy. Everyone knew what might happen. Everyone knew what they were getting into. And then when the reality hits, everyone's outraged. What do you think was going to happen here? What did you think was going to happen when you gave all of the players the control and you empowered them? I'm actually surprised it hasn't happened sooner. Really, I am. And so I have a proposal. Let's just go back to money under the table. It was more honest, it was more honorable, and it actually gave players incentive to play more consistently.
I think competition, man, is what makes, competition is what makes player step up to the table. All of these teams, like Kansas, is like Steve said, Kansas is a historically great. They had a Paul Pierce. They had what's the other guy? And he just mentioned, right, Manning, right? I forgot. I remember him playing and winning the championship with Larry Brown. But competition, man, just makes it. you can't afford to, back in the 80s and the 90s, and like, I don't care how good you were on the court, you couldn't afford to raise your hand and say, take me out of the game. Like, nobody is that good. Nobody is, like Michael Jordan or Isaiah. Isaiah had a really good college career. I can't picture Isaiah Thomas pointing to Bobby Knight with 2 minutes left. I mean, with 2 minutes gone in the quarter, in the second half, talking about take me out the game. Man, oh boy, man. And then on top of that, or Michael Jordan looking at Dean Smith, talking about take me out the game. Grant Hill doing that with Mike Krzyzewski, right? This guy might go number one, but still he is not that good. And the coach there is allowing him to think that he's that good. And when he gets to the next level, it's just going to be a wake-up call for him.
We had it good. We didn't even know it.
Dre, what do you make of Darryn Peterson?
Well, this is a reflection of the culture. It's like you said, Jason, the culture says that if you already have the bag secured, then you don't need to put it at risk. College basketball used to be where you proved your draft position. Now it's where you preserve your draft position. Peterson is already slated as going to be a top 3 pick, maybe the number 1 pick in the draft.
Number 1
he has
pick
nothing to
seems
prove.
to be the consensus. Yeah.
Right, number 1 consensus. So what does he have to prove? What does he have to gain by playing another college game, whether it's a good game, bad game? He has nothing to prove. He can only lose if he's only thinking about the money and his brand and the business of Darryn Peterson moving forward. He has nothing to risk here except maybe the goodwill of his coaches, his teammates, and maybe some fans at Kansas. But other than that, if he's thinking about his professional career, then, I mean, that's what college is for, right? He's already secured a professional status. What's the point of risking it any further in his mind? Now, that's not what I would want as a fan, but this is where we are.
Yeah, and see, I agree. Like in his mind, because he's probably only about like 19, maybe 20 years old, if he's that old. And that's where like leadership and coaching come in. Like I said, those young guys back in the day, maybe they was getting money under the table from boosters or whoever else, but they still respect authority and they still allowed themselves to be molded and guided by the great coaches who was around college basketball back in those days, right? And so this kid is like he's doing himself a disservice, because I don't care if you go number 1 in the draft, there's some guy, and you can always the best basketball players never want to come out the game. And you talking about you that good, you want to come out the game and you only played 2.5 minutes into this, you that good? You're not that good. Nobody is that good. Allen Iverson hated coming out of basketball games. And Michael, all those guys, they hate coming out the game because every minute out there is an opportunity for them to improve. And he's going to leave basically when you coming out of the game, you checking yourself out. That's like leaving money on the table, right? And I don't care if you're talking about basketball or banking, you don't leave money on the table. This kid right here, like I said in the title, man, it's just all about self-sabotage. You don't get those minutes back. You can't leave. What they play 20 minutes. Man, you just can't get those 12 minutes or 15 minutes each half. And you leaving that on the table. I don't care if you playing a team that's Division III. There's always a way for you to improve on your game or something that you need to work on. And you got to find ways as an athlete. Great athletes find ways to challenge themselves, even when sometimes the competition don't challenge you. You got to come up ways to challenge yourself. So, yeah, this kid is just self-sabotaging, man, and he gonna look back on these kind of decisions and kick himself. Like a lot of great, kids who woulda, coulda, shoulda, and and so it's not new. It's not new, but that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'm going to check you all out in the next video. Peace.